Creed.
Oh, busted.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Life of the Lost. We are your hosts. On one side is
Megan,
and on this side is Sam. Sorry, I know you guys can't see which side we're on, but trust us, we are each parallel to each other. Anyways, getting into this week's topic. Megan, do you wanna?
Yeah, so I know if you follow us on Instagram, the last post we made, and it's funny because it's like I always want to say I made because usually I'm the one making posts and you're always helping me, but like it's hard to have like an Instagram with two voices as well, so that's why sorry.
Well, yeah. Maybe we'll have to add some of my voice in.
Absolutely. But what I was gonna say is that I know last week when we had posted for the podcast that we had posted last week's podcast, I had promised like drama and suspense with this week's topic, just kind of going a little bit more into why we took a really giant, well, what felt like a really giant hiatus of Supay. Yeah. But what I want to just start out by saying before we get into it is, one, if you hear these tiny little sounds in the background, it's our 7-month-old Oreo, and just found out he's 19 pounds, which is ridiculous.
He's a big boy.
Yes. When we got him, he was 6 pounds.
He was this baby little bean. He
was so tiny, and now he's 20 freaking pounds.
He's this huge,
And I never wanted him to pass 20 pounds. Well, he's 19. I never wanted him to pass 20 because I think to get on a plane, I remember reading in Sun Country, they have to be under 20 pounds with the carrier.
Just buy him a seat. Can you buy a dog a seat?
On one of the flights, Frontier, you can't. That's all I know. Some, I'm sure, possibly.
I bet you if you just go to Delta, they'll do it.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, why not? I'm paying like $300 for
I know,
a
right?
seat. Like, let him sit.
Anything can sit in that seat.
Even if I just have his little... Anyways. Yes, what I was going to say is... before we kind of jump into this topic, I just wanted to talk really quickly about like the holidays that are coming up, and tomorrow's Thanksgiving. And I know yesterday I was like crying a little bit to Sam and just telling him how much that I miss my family and how much I just really want to be around them right now.
Talk about it. Sorry, I just had to say that. It's a Raiders, sorry, not Raiders, just a Good Morning Football. That's what they say when somebody's talking up like their ideas or their reasonings behind whether a team is winning or why a team won. So that's where I was like, hey, talk about it. Hey. So anyways, that's me like hyping you up, talking about being homesick.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, right? Because I feel very blessed to have a place to be homesick from. And I think that I have a lot of friends who, their parents died, or their parents don't want to be in their family or in their life anymore, or, maybe the kids disown their parents, or, whatever the case may be, they're just not able to be around their immediate family. And I know that it's really hard. It's really hard being away, for me, just being out of state. So let alone the people who are struggling through this time, I just wanted to say that our hearts and our thoughts are with you. And I'm going to post this tonight. So if, you're super lonely or you're feeling out of it or whatever the case may be, we're just going to be around tomorrow. We'll be having our turkey and everything. I'm not sure if I want to eat turkey yet, but
a feast. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
But anyways, we'll be just around, probably in a food coma. So we'll, if you need to reach out and vent, whatever the case is, we'll be here.
Yeah.
Kind of going off of that, I haven't had meat since March. Sam can't say the same.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Well, we decided to go vegan together. And obviously I haven't stayed 100% vegan this entire time. I've had your occasional cheese puffs, and I had mozzarella cheese sticks one time.
Yeah, but I think it's okay sometimes when you're talking about if you're really trying to do this for like a lifetime, nothing in your life, nothing ever in life, I think is perfect. But I think the truly important thing is the consistency. Yeah, you'll have your bad days, but as long as the majority of the time is in your favor of what you want to do, I think that that's the most important part.
And kind of going back to it and not giving up on yourself, I think.
Exactly.
Anyways, so what I wanted to paint the scene for what I'm going to say, and kind of like a little bit of story time I'm going to get into. This was in July. It was a summer, a very hot summer in Minnesota, and me, my mom, and my dad were on our way to my little brother's lacrosse game, and we wanted to stop really quick at Burger King, and right when we pulled up into the parking lot, I got a phone call and I looked down and it was from my doctor, and she said, "Hey Megan, I know it's was it Friday or a Saturday? I want to say maybe it was a Friday, but it was like later." She's like, I know it's Friday, but I just want to let you know that your test results came in, and I'm really sorry to tell you, but you have cancer. And, we'll talk about, like, the next steps.
Did they tell you what kind of cancer? Or just that you had cancer?
They had been doing tests in my neck. And so they...
Oh, had they already done, a biopsy?
Yeah, and it sucked because I had to wait, like, 3 months to figure out
what the hell?
results of that, which is really frustrating. 3 months of just, like, trying to be patient. And
you probably would have already had a hunch that it was something... The reasons why needing a biopsy, they're probably concerned that there is something, which is even more stressful probably because you're like, dang, now I gotta wait.
Yeah, it was just kind of like a weird kind of cycle. And I know I got into this in a previous episode, but I can go really quickly on how it kind of came to be. And I was just in the doctor's office, and they were feeling my neck, and they're like, "Hey, there's a bump." And I was like, "Oh, weird." And then they decided to go into blood test, and then the blood test led to, "You have like a severe thyroid problem. We think you have Hashimoto's disease." All right, what do I do? You take this kind of medicine. We also want to get a ultrasound. Ultrasound led to a biopsy. Biopsy led to that moment we're talking about.
Hey.
So my mom and dad were really super sad, and they had called their parents, and I just remember being like, okay, I don't really want to eat Burger King anymore. I just kind of want to sit in the car. And at the time, I remember...
I don't know how you do that. Like, I'd be so sad, but I'd be like, yeah, just give me a double Whopper with French fries, please. Thanks.
I think eventually I went inside. I took like a few moments to be outside by myself. I had called like my significant other at the time. And it's just interesting because I remember him not answering the phone. And that just kind of like led to a string of like horrible times within like this kind of battle of just not having the support that I felt like I really wanted. But we can get into that later. But anyway, so we go to the lacrosse game, and I have to just pretend everything's okay, right? Because I'm not going to go tell my brother before he has this game. I think it's kind of selfish of me. So during the entire game, I'm super like angry and aggressive, and I'm known to be kind of aggressive during games in general, but this time I was just super angry and super mad. And I don't know if I've ever really like told my brother before, but I've gotten in so many fights on behalf of him in hockey and lacrosse with other parents of like
Surprised
opposite
you haven't
teams.
gotten smacked.
I know.
It's because you're a girl.
I know. And my only
and
defense...
you didn't fight with girls, I don't think. You fought with dudes.
Yeah, I always fought with dudes.
And
And that was the funny thing, though, because it was always the dads of the other, like, player on the team. And they'd be screaming at me, right? And my only defense was... Yes, the dads would be. I'd be getting in fights with them. My only defense was... I can't believe you're going to talk to a 17-year-old minor that way after I had already hyped them up so hard.
Oh, my God.
You guys, I have such a big mouth on me. Anyways,
Jesus Christ.
I was even more angry. And back in the day, I was already angry in general. And this time it was just tenfold. But I remember leaving. Michael was done with his game, and Oreo was choking on a toy. All right, we're good. There was this really tall hill, And I remember seeing Michael, and I told him I had to talk to him, and we were on the top of this hill, and you look down, and it's a parking lot, and it's the bus, of him with his teammates. He has to go on it, and I remember telling him and saying, like, hey, just want to let you know, I just found out I had cancer. And he just said, you have to start believing in God. And I know you don't really believe in God, but something like this is gonna...
And I still don't believe in God to this day. I'm just kidding.
He said you just have to believe that you'll get better. You have to believe that you'll fight through this, that you'll make it.
It's interesting how are such like intelligent people like have such strength in like God when God is like the most illogical thing to prove or to have any.
But I think that's why, though, right? When you feel so helpless, you have to sometimes blame or sometimes look for support in something, right? And in this being, I think people find support.
Yeah, I mean, even I guess maybe I can't speak for my whole life, but I guess in my life now, even when good things happen, I'm very thankful of God. Like I'm thankful of like my food and like just being able to have healthy Maya and Oreos and good spirits. Our little pup, even though he's battling something right now, but I'm always blessed with it. The time in Laka, obviously, God bless his soul. But anyways, sorry.
No, it's easy to like kind of.
I just had a grateful moment just here this there.
Yeah, and like when you think about God and like what God is to people and the majority of people, I guess that like me and you surround ourselves with, that it might, to other people they might pry to it, and maybe to us where it's a reminder of how grateful we are, for whatever the reason is. But yeah, it was a very interesting moment, and I remember hugging him and just being like, I will, but like not actually understanding, what that means to believe in something to make you feel better, and it's weird. It's a weird moment, and I just kind of want to talk about the struggle a little bit about cancer and about how that happened, because I think that a lot of the time I pretend like, hey guys, yeah, oh yeah, you like your mom had cancer, yeah, like I remember when I had cancer, like in the back of my head, or oh yeah, I remember, like, yeah, blah blah blah. And I think it's like annoying because I don't give myself enough credit for a lot of the battle that I had to endure. But I also like jump back really quick and I'm like, don't forget that your doctor told you like 1 in 5 people have cancer or have thyroid cancer specifically. So I always feel like, this is the easiest kind of cancer to have, so I sell myself short.
And when I'm like, oh fuck my neck. So they found out because there was an elevated level of white blood cells.
Yeah, okay. And then thyroid levels, I guess, were kind of high. But
wait, I didn't know thyroid had their own levels.
Oh yeah, they have a bunch. I have to get.
How do you get tested?
Well, I just get my blood tested, and they're like, it's called like TH or T something.
Look at my mouth sign and my chart real quick. No,
yeah, you can. You have to specifically ask for your thyroid levels, and
I think they did that though
recently,
like a year ago.
Yeah,
remember when
like
I
a full blood
got,
panel?
Like, my like sugar level is like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But no, that's just a phase.
But that's actually like something serious that I wanted to bring up too. Like I have so many things in my head, but I always want to talk about and advocate for people who feel like, during this time, especially, holidays or it becoming winter or darker earlier in the day, depression, seasonal depression, things like that. In general, I would just tell people to just go get your thyroid levels checked, because it could cause like so many things that you wouldn't even think of in your body, and you might be listening and don't even know you had a thyroid.
And what were your symptoms of that?
It was ridiculous, to be honest. And this is this is why sometimes I hesitate on talking about my initial symptoms, because it brings people in panic. Literally, the doctor asked me, "Do you have dry skin?" That was one, and it was in the wintertime. Well, yeah, it was in the wintertime. Of course I did.
But
and you're in Minnesota, it's freezing. The other one was, do you get tired easy? I was in college. Of course I got tired easy. I was always up at nights, like, praying and doing my homework like a good girl.
Jesus.
nevertheless, those were the two questions that they had asked me before I had a biopsy. So it's silly, right? But what the main point is that if you're feeling down, if you're feeling a little bit not like yourself, or you're feeling like anxious or hyper or have a hard time like focusing, I just say, just go into urgent care, go in to see your normal doctor, just get your thyroid levels checked, because I think that's super important.
Yeah, just speaking of that, I was just looking at my like level when I got it taken 4/1/21.
Oh, that was this year in April.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it's called. The
honestly, like I might as well
thyroid levels, because I think I did it.
Look it up.
Yeah, I'd love if you did, because I'm on this page and I don't want to change the page.
And you would think I would know by now, because I've had this was like 10 years ago that initially happened, that I would know exactly what levels I'm looking for. But
I feel like you like tuned a lot of it out.
And I think that's the problem, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this and go into this a little bit more, because I do. Oop, Sam's food is here. Food. I'll go get it right quick.
Oh, I appreciate that. Did
you already give them?
You're a lifesaver. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
What's on the menu today?
Thank you.
On Sam's menu today, we have a grilled swordfish steak with a brioche bun with a little bit of tartar sauce and lettuce and tomato, with a side order of crispy golden fries.
Is this an infomercial of what you got?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'm logging into my MSK really quick. Identify my face, please. Authenticating.
Oh, MSK.
This is a bummer.
What is MSK?
I'm going to have to go look at my password thing, because it logged me out. Okay, this is super going way fast forward into the story, but now that we're kind of on it, I'll just go with the flow. When I got to New York City, it was really scary, because I had my own thyroid kind of team in Minnesota. And so coming out here, I didn't have any insurance at the time. I was really panicky about my pills, about getting a job in time to pay for everything. You have to get ultrasounds and tests and all of these things very often. And so I was really fortunate enough to scoop a job pretty quickly after I got here. And my mom, we had realized that there is one of the best cancer centers here called Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MSK for short. And I had to actually apply to go there and to be seen by their doctors. And it was kind of like, it was very scary. I'm like, am I going to make the team? And I was a little worried, because I had previously had cancer, and so in the moment I didn't have cancer. So I was like, I don't think they're going to take me or accept me because I don't have cancer. And I was talking to these people on the phone, and they were just like, you really need to send in everything that you've ever had, like every single test result, everything that your surgeon said, all of these things. So I had gathered this giant packet, sent it in to them, and then they had a team of people look at it and decide, like, is she worthy enough to be seen by us, kind of thing. So I remember getting the phone call, and I was at work, and I was so excited, and my friends, they were just hugging me, and like I was like in tears, because I was like, this is really cool to be to feel safe at where I'm being seen. I don't know anything about New York City, and I felt like this was a really good cancer center.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the city, I can't speak for any other like state, but I know that like in the city there's like an emphasis on like, I don't know, like good doctor ratings. There's so many doctors in the city that it's very easy to kind of get a subpar doctor if you're not really looking, or you're not really like going with what you feel in your heart, finding a doctor. And
that's like a process, especially when you're working and they can only see you in certain hours, and like that's always kind of a strain.
I mean, like even in your vicinity, like how, like back home, like how many doctors would have been available in general, like to choose from in general when you want to like be seen by somebody? Would you know?
and like how I just went about being seen by doctors at home was just,
yeah.
Who was my pediatrician when I was younger? Okay, well, then like, you know, you just Google somebody really quick, and like somebody refers you to this person, and you get referred to this person. And so I do remember having like 2 different thyroid doctors because I didn't really like one of them. And I changed. It was funny. I remember the woman, she was really kind, but I felt as if she was too lax about everything, and maybe I'm more like I need a hands-on person who like needs to talk me through things. And
in Minnesota,
like,
or here?
Yeah, in Minnesota.
Okay.
And I had gone through 2 doctors there, and then I had picked somebody else. And
but what was like the distance from? Were they far or close?
Oh, to my house.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. And what would be another question too on top of that? What would be unrealistic distance for a doctor?
I guess it depends on like who you're seeing, right? It's a specialist.
Pediatrician? I mean, not a sorry, like a general doctor?
So I don't think I've ever really had a general doctor. I just mostly had my thyroid doctor who I went to go see, but they were about like 30 to 40 minutes away.
But even, oh really? So like,
Yeah.
when you first saw your doctor, who first diagnosed you?
It was like a urgent care, just getting like a regular physical for school.
No way.
Yeah, just like.
Wow,
just
that
needing
doctor
to-
was
spot on.
good.
Yeah, they just felt my neck. That's how this whole thing started.
But did you feel
Oh,
something?
I had no idea what they were talking about. I felt like something maybe, but they're like, do you feel that? And I was like, I mean, that's my neck. No, not really.
Where?
On the right side, under my ear. So you take your fingers, maybe your 1, 2, 3, maybe your 3rd finger down from, you know, the bottom of your earlobe. That's kind of where. And
It was like a mass?
yeah,
A mass?
yeah, it was a tumor actually.
Oh, so it was like hard? Did you remember feeling something hard?
I don't really remember feeling it. And I also kind of remember not really wanting anything to do with it. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know what's happening.
It's like
Feeling
anxiety checking my neck right now.
Well, and it's interesting too because what they thought in the beginning, it's like a inflamed lymph node, and you get inflamed lymph nodes with common colds.
But it wasn't hurting, was it?
No,
That's the scary part.
it was. I mean, when you like pushed on it, it was like like there's something there. But obviously, you're not gonna just go push on every random part of your body. But do you need a thing?
No, like, sorry. I rolled this blunt here, and as I got into talking, we got sidetracked. But I realized that when I was talking to you earlier, I did not push the weed down, creating a little bit of an air and tightness, and so I was intently looking at it like as if it was like a piece of hair sticking out of your perfectly combed hair, as if just like, oh, it's so debilitatingly irritating, and I'm like, I must salvage this, I must fix this, so I'm just trying to push it down, and that's it. Sorry about that, guys.
But so kind of leading up to, we're talking about doctor's offices. It's interesting because.
Sorry, it's interesting because.
Sorry, I was trying to like think of like kind of where I want to go with this. I know that I'm kind of going all over the place, but I hope you're still following. So, you know, got diagnosed at the lacrosse game. Then from there on, like, when are you gonna have surgery? It was in the winter, so I waited a few more months until surgery. And I think that I just genuinely try to block a lot of like the bad parts out because I know that I was really anxious and really scared. I remember that I had even watched a stupid movie about taking too much anesthesia and what happens
Jesus.
if you. I know.
I never thought that was possible until I met you.
Yeah,
And
it's
you
a possibility if you take
blessed me
too
with
much
that.
anesthesia, or not too much, if they don't give you enough anesthesia, what happens is like you can be pretty much awake for your entire surgery, but you have enough anesthesia or whatever in you to not be able to alert somebody. And you know, sometimes they like tape your eyes down. So how could you
Damn,
like
that's
alert them
that's
to
serious
know?
surgery then.
Yeah.
Well, how would they know? Like
They
do you
wouldn't,
think,
so then you have to go through the pain and like of somebody cutting you open and like all of
No.
these things.
like I wish like
So
man,
that was in
if
the
I
back
ever
of
have
my
surgery, I'm
head.
just gonna be like, yo, can you like double check those doses for me, please don't I don't want this.
I know.
Did you tell them? No. You just trusting God.
I'll be honest, like, so there was this one pre-op appointment and I went with my mom, and it's where you have to sign the papers saying, you know, I am aware that I could die from the surgery. I am aware that,
How did you feel when you signed that?
I just remember walking in there and being like, kind of like, it is what it is. Because I don't know, when you're scared, what does that do? It's scary, but like in that moment, I couldn't really do anything because eventually I was going to go into surgery. But I will say one thing that I regretted, that I do regret right now, is not taking care of myself before surgery. I really wish that I would have started eating better, working out, more being active, more consistent, taking care of my mind a lot more, because leading up to the surgery, I was just really stressed out. And I think that I was sad and my emotions were really all over the place. And I wasn't in a good mind, a good mindset. And I just really wish that I would have taken care of myself before and after surgery. And so were you going to say something? Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I was sorry. I was really listening to what you were saying.
It's okay.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, it's I guess in terms of like your unfazed mindset. I guess in your eyes, it was a tuned out. Like you were just not in a good place. I guess because you said you wish you could do better in terms of your health, your mental state, and your like health, physical, and maybe eating better, but. I guess for me, I was just like very like in shock that you were able to just like do that. And it was like fine. Because like I would have been like, you saw me with the foot and that simple like leave-in IV. I was panicking. Just
3 weeks ago, Sam, let's dive into this real quick. 3 weeks ago, Sam came home from the gym and said that his foot was numb and tingly. And we were supposed to go to the pumpkin patch with Oreo and Maya. And I was kind of bummed. I was like, oh, damn, man. Like, this means we have to go to urgent care and da-da-da. And I was like,
I know, you're excited. I'm like, yo, I'm dead ass. Like, this is not, like, I swear, like, I can, like, yo, something's wrong.
But
like,
Sam
please.
is also known to be a little dramatic sometimes.
But this was like...
This was pretty scary. And so when you told me it was tingly, I was like, that's definitely something's wrong. And then you said it was getting cold. And I was like, all right, let's go. We get to urgent care. Right away, I believe we were seen. You had called to make sure they had an x-ray machine because we thought maybe you fractured it. We weren't sure. That we get in, the doctor looks at you right away and can't find a pulse in Sam's foot. And she's kind of panicking. And she says that, we have two options. We either take an ambulance to the emergency room right now, or we go right now and get a cab there. And...
I hear cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. I'll take a cab.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It was very scary. She was afraid that you might have a blood clot, and she couldn't feel your pulse in your foot, and she was really worried because your foot that was injured was freezing cold, and your other one was fine. And so it was kind of like this, like, what the fuck is going on?
What had happened? Oh, the running.
That's kind of what sparked happened. It, like about a week before.
And then I worked out on it.
So we get to the emergency room, and the same thing is kind of happening. That was just such a crazy day. To sum it up a little bit quicker, it was about, we were there for maybe 8 to 10 hours, and a surgeon ended up having to come in and was literally marking Sam's foot.
Specialized in the circulatory system. The emergency doctors looked at it. The senior overseeing of the emergency doctors looked at it. Neither of them could find a pulse. They call in the special cardiac surgeon who was having a hard time to finding a pulse. They decided that they needed to do a CT scan. And in order to do that, and on top of the other tests that they could have potentially have done and also did, they decided to put an IV in me to leave in. And I was just like, why can't I just get the shots and then that'd be done? And they're like, oh, because we don't know what else is going to be in your thing. I'm like, that's fine. Just give it to me again. Like,
he just didn't want to take the IV. And
the thought of something stuck in your arm was unfathomable. I could not comprehend that. There was no reason for that, like in my mind.
And I was just like kind of pissed off because I'm like, dude, I think you might be dying, you might have a blood clot, like, no offense, but shut the fuck up and, like, let them stick you. Because in my perspective, I've had that in my arm so many times now that, like, just stop. And it was just like,
no.
I know. And
but
then, like,
why?
Yeah. And I just finally, like, you just did it, but you were horrified.
Yeah, it sucked. I couldn't move. I was so uncomfortable. God, I can only imagine what it's like having, like, recovering from a serious surgery, like, you know, this.
In multiple days.
And needing to move. Like,
yeah, I wanted
like,
to get into that in a little bit too.
You're like, oh my God, how uncomfortable that would have been. I would have been fucking high.
You can't smoke when
No, like the recovery after I was like, you know, went home, and I'm sure
Yeah.
the stitches or whatever stitch on my arm would still be there. I'd just be like,
it's, yeah, it was intense. But nevertheless,
I mean, I hate it when I got a tattoo, and that was like,
that's interesting.
and
You
that
have
was,
a lot.
and that was still healing. Healing was, I don't care about this. Healing was the worst part.
Really,
like not being able to sleep on your side or whatever, having to not move your arm, oh my God, putting the Vaseline and the
Sam
and
has
the
this
cocoa
thing about,
and the tattoo glue or whatever the hell on it at night. Oh my God, I woke up and my hair was waxed with that. I was like, I have to take a shower right now. Oh my God, can I live with this not being on? I don't care if the color bleeds. I'll just get it redone. I don't care.
Side note for people who aren't familiar with Sam's, like, kind of OCD, he really doesn't like any kind of grease at all around him. Like, I'm so surprised you have a daughter sometimes, because, like, when she gets messy and, like, she has boogers and whatever the case is, and, like,
I know. I don't
Sam
know.
doesn't do well with it, so much so that he needs almost new sheets every night because he feels like they're too oily from the night before. And meanwhile, I'm like, it's fine for like a week. But we digress.
Yeah, I remember the first time I was like, came over to your house in Minnesota. I was just like, literally after,
you were with
I was
me
like,
for about a week.
Seriously, like 3 nights in, I couldn't even take it. I was like, yo, like,
we need to take a shower at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Like, do you have another? It started like slowly. I was like, so do you have another pair of sheets? Why? Oh no, nothing. I just I don't know. I just, you know, it's good to have a fresh pair of sheets. Really, what's that? And I was like, and then you did. I was like, so now that we have that set, is it cool to take a shower?
This is at like 2 in the morning.
Yeah, I literally couldn't take it. I was like dying in my skin.
I know.
I don't know why I'm like that, but I am. But it's interesting though that you're speaking like now, Maya. Like, I'm definitely like aware of like being like a better figure to her. So I'm definitely, when she wants to lay in the bed, I'm just kind of like, come.
Yeah.
Come. Because I want her to always feel like she's welcomed, and just I'm like, you'll get over it.
Yeah, kids are dirty, kids are messy, and sometimes, and it is what it is. But it's funny that you did bring up your tattoo and kind of like feeling uncomfortable and how you sleep, because right after surgery, I remember a few things about surgery. It was kind of cool because when I was sitting at this chair right before I went into surgery, I had this really cool gown, and they put in these tubes on each side, and you get to pick if you wanted it cold or hot, and it was just really awesome. And I was just like, Sam.
And you're just like,
sorry. And I got to just pick the temperature, and I felt like this like balloon woman with this blown up thing, and just getting into surgery. And right before that, I remember seeing my grandma and grandpa Rakis run down the hallway and give me a hug before I get in. And I think it's just kind of sentimental to me, like remembering that exact moment, because my grandma's no longer with us. So I'm not gonna cry. Okay. But anyways, maybe I am gonna cry, because like I remember getting out of surgery, and one of the first things I did is I looked up at the clock on the wall, and I was just thinking of my significant other at the time, because I don't want to talk badly about people, but so I'll just give you the facts. And the facts were that It wasn't a very stable relationship, and this person wasn't around. I always felt like they were missing, and I just wanted to go back up to recovery, and I wanted to see my mom and my significant other at the time. And I just remember feeling like this amount of like anxiousness and fear right out of recovery. And I remember going to my house after that about a day or two later, and the reason I was starting to cry again is because my grandma and grandpa were there, and they took care of me. And grandma and grandpa, they want to feed you and stuff. And so one of my favorite places to eat was Sweet Taste of Italy in Brooklyn Park, and they have like the best garlic bread, but I wasn't supposed to have butter or anything, so I just asked for, and I was pretty nauseous at the time, I had just asked for the bread. It's this really sweet bread.
Why weren't you allowed to have butter?
I don't remember why, but like I wasn't supposed to. And so I was gonna have this bread at the time, and I remember my grandma like just eating at the couch with me and just talking with me and just being there with me. And I guess I just like don't think of my grandma as much, and so when I do think of these moments, it's very emotional. And I'm gonna have to call my grandpa after this and talk to him.
Question: Do you know what she ordered?
Probably just your typical. It was either lasagna or spaghetti and meatballs. Nice. Oh, but I miss.
So you brought it home. You ordered it.
I had them. I had them. They took me home right away. Well, I was home right away, and then I had requested them to bring that. And it was funny because I don't like asking people to give me things, but because I had surgery, everybody had to wait on me hand and foot. And so I remember being like, if you ever go to Sweet Taste of Italy, do you think you could maybe just get me some bread? Not implying like, hey, I want it.
I know. I'll go right now. No.
Yeah, that was my grandpa, and he did, and he was always like that. He is always like that. Anyways, right after surgery, it was very overwhelming because the pain medicine is kind of wearing off, and I had gotten really upset at the doctors in the first place because I don't like pain medicine at all. Like it makes me so nauseous and so sick.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
So I actually got into a fight.
Is that when you first like realized that, or was it before?
No, it was a little bit before I had pain medicine because I had my little shrimp organ out. What was that?
Appendix.
And yeah, I think I did it around then. That's when I realized I just don't like it.
Were you like wondering, why am I so nauseous? Or like, why?
Yeah, it's this dizzy, nauseous feeling. That's why I don't really smoke. It's because I just don't really like that feeling of not being in control of like your equilibrium.
I didn't know that, but like, I guess smoking weed is the only reason why that happens is if you have a drastic change in your blood pressure, and a lot of that can happen if you don't eat, or I think if you eat, like if you're crazily depleted and you eat a lot, that can happen. I think, I don't know, don't quote me.
That's very interesting because I know I do have like severely like low blood pressure, so
that could be it.
Yeah, but nevertheless, it was kind of wearing off from what they had given me, and they had told me to take medicine at home, and I refused to because I just don't like that feeling.
And you know
what's
even crazier, Megan? People take weed to deal with nausea from chemotherapy,
and I think it's probably crazy? Like more of like microdosing, where when I've taken edibles or smoked, it's definitely definitely not microdosing because I didn't know what I was doing.
Do you remember that one time that we took that chocolate? You were like trying to buy it. You're like, I'm not feeling anything. And I'm like, are you sure?
The worst mistake of my life.
That was a mistake on me too, because I was like, well, just here then have a little bit more. No, I think
the reason why is because I was kind of being cocky, like, I don't feel anything. And you're like, really? And I was like, yeah.
Bet.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I wasn't like bet, but I was cautious because I'm like, all right, well, I'll give you a little bit more, but like,
the problem was
start to feel it soon.
I don't think you gave the little bit to me. I went and took some for myself.
Oh no.
And that was where I went wrong. I was spinning in oblivion in a different dimension, and it was horrible, and I was crying.
I was pretty like smacked, but I was holding on to one last like ounce of like soberness
to help me.
Yeah, I was like, yes, everyone goes through that phase of just having way too much. I first time had it way too much. I was like 15 years old. And I remember that very vividly. But yet I still come back for more. No, but that was a really tense moment. It's very, don't be very careful with edibles. I'll just say that. With smoking it, it's very, very, I've never, scratch that, happened one time, my first time, when I really got like high off of smoking. That was
chestnut.
That was the first and only time I really had that feeling of like, I can't, like, anxiety, complete utter anxiety.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that I would never do it outside again.
Yeah.
And if I was, it was going to be at a party with friends, and I would take like a hit, and that was it.
Yeah. It's a good rule to follow.
Yeah, I'm not like an idiot, so I don't know. I guess I was like, going back to the overall theme, I was just like very blessed and fortunate that like I didn't break bones, and I didn't like have these like crazy like accidents with like physical activity that like a lot of kids, I think, like, you know, happens. Like you fall off a monkey bars and you like crack your like knee open. Well, actually, I did have some nasty cuts though. But, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I was just saying. I was texting my mom earlier about like what we're talking about. I just want to see if she responded back. But we were talking about right after. So yeah, it was really a weird time right after, because once again, it really sucks, because at the time the relationship I was in was really dictating my mindset, and because of that, I dove into a really deep depression after surgery. And I felt as if I had no support system, and that was really my fault. I mean, I didn't even reach out to you, and we were really good friends at the time. I didn't reach out to anybody. I just really was alone in my head and my thoughts, and it became so severe that about on day 4 of after surgery, I had this weird kind of growth in my neck. And it started out small, and it grew very fast. And it at first was the size of a bouncy ball, and it just became larger and larger. And we called the doctor, and they're like, "Oh, you can come in, and we'll try to, take some out." And they did. And they said, worst case scenario, if it happens again, like, let us know, and we'll have to put you back into surgery. And within the next few days, it blew up to be like a baseball size on my neck, and my skin, it felt like it couldn't handle the stretching. It was stretching so fast. And we had to schedule surgery right away.
Why? What was the cause of it?
I think it was just pure stress.
Really?
I was so depressed and like scared, because I thought that the person I was with was constantly cheating on me and was never. So when I didn't get a hold of this person, that's where my mind went. And because I was in such a, I don't want to say like obsessive, but I want to say like very clingy, like a very clingy like relationship, that I just felt like.
Well, yeah, it's understandable. If you're always scared of somebody going somewhere, you tend to cling harder because you don't want that to happen. So it's not like an unjust clinginess. Yeah. It was with good reason.
Yeah. And so that was kind of my mindset at the time. I was very stressed out about that. And I wasn't taking care of myself at all. I really let myself go. I had told you I wasn't supposed to have butter, or junk food in general. And I had finished an entire bag of, extra cheesy Goldfish, Cheez-Its. Ended up having a lot of bread and butter.
That's probably what happened to the thing in your neck.
That's what they said was part of it as well.
Well, it goes back to your point of that you wish you could have been healthier during that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what they ended up doing is, and it was kind of shitty because it happened so fast. They didn't give me anesthesia before I went under. They literally put me on the fucking metal bed. And
wait, sorry.
I had to go back into surgery for a second time.
Because of that?
Because of that. And they literally just, before I remember, they put me in this nice, like, relaxed chair and everything was cool. And then they gave me the anesthesia and I knocked out. Yeah, that was the very first time.
Oh, okay, so then it came back again.
And then when this... No. So the first time I went to surgery, it was like this like I was talking about earlier with this chair, right? And it was just very cozy.
When you
and
first
when
went
they
into
gave me
surgery from
anesthesia-
actually getting the procedure done?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the second time I had to go back was to get a tube put in my neck. So,
Right.
and when I went and like the scariest thing happened, I actually had to go, I walked myself into the operating room and put myself on the table and saw that bright light that you see in movies kind of hovering over you. And it was just like an uncomfortable feeling. Like I felt as if they should have not had me see that because it stressed me out even more. Seeing like the table that you're going to be on and everything, it was just like very uncomfortable. I felt like I was like a frog about to be dissected. And so, they did that, and I had to have this tube in my neck for the next week or two, and I couldn't really deal with the emptying of the tube. My mom did it for those times.
Whoa, you just like glossed over a ton of stuff. So you had the surgery, and then you had a tube in you, and then so you went home?
Yeah.
And so
This is
people
like,
had to like...
Thank you for stopping me to talk about this, because I think that like I don't talk about it in detail like I should, because I get so scared about it.
Your story. You just gloss over like huge chapters.
I know. Yes. Okay. So let me just calm down and like think rationally. Yes. So after that, they sent me home with this tube, and it was, I didn't realize, but when people have breast cancer, because you have a lot of lymph nodes, in your armpits where your breasts are, they have to go home with bigger tubes, like big, huge ones. And so when I found out about mine, it was just,
to me. Jeez.
Yeah, and serum, like mine was so tiny compared to the ones that I've seen breast cancer patients have.
Oh my God, how do you move?
Yes.
How deep is it?
That's what I was going to talk about as well. Theirs, I don't know.
How deep was yours?
Deep enough to a point where there was this one night that I woke up and I was like, very stressed out. I forgot where I was. I tried to pull it out.
Oh my!
Because I didn't know where, like what. I don't know why I woke up not knowing where I was or like who I was. It was a very overwhelming feeling, and I tried to pull it out, and they had it stitched kind of in as well, just in case that happened. And I remember looking down the tube and it just blood in the tube, just kind of like filling up this little bottle. It wasn't as fast, as gruesome as that might be making it seem, but it was just, the stuff inside started turning red, and it was just really gross. Sorry, Sam.
It's okay.
This face is just like, get me out of here. But yeah, it wasn't the best of times, and trying to move around even after surgery in general, you wouldn't believe how much you use your neck muscles. Getting out of bed was very hard because you're lifting yourself up without moving your neck. Everything you do, you're moving your neck. When you go to the bathroom, when you look around, when you look up, when you look down, when you move your eyes, like everything you do. And so it was a very painful recovery, but that kind of was the worst part. And then going in again, surgery for the third time just to get it out. And I was very thankful. And I just had this tiny little dot where the tube was in my neck. But yeah, I think one of the scariest things at the end, after talking to my surgeon, was finding out that I had this cancer in me for possibly up to like 5 to 7 years. And when they actually...
So when you first was diagnosed, how old were you?
20.
Wow, that's 5 to 7 years. So you could have been, what, like 13?
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Like when we first met.
Get yourselves checked regularly, kids.
Yeah, and I think the scary thing about that is my levels were so severely down that my thyroid was acting like as if I didn't have any kind of hormones in it at all in the very beginning, right? Which is why they thought I had Hashimoto's.
Because it was getting blocked by the cancerous.
Yeah, I don't remember. What I do remember is not wanting to learn about it, to be honest, because my mom's Googling everything and she's WebMDing everything and like this and that. It could be this and that.
Okay, so here's the verdict. You died 3 days ago.
Yeah, I didn't want anything to do with that because I knew it was going to panic me. So at the time, I didn't even want to learn. And to an extent, I kind of still block myself out a little bit of that. But nevertheless, what was I just talking about?
that you didn't learn?
Oh no, that was just a really scary thing for me, because going back, 5 to 7 years prior to that, thinking of like the amount of like depression or sadness or anger, anxiety that came with the imbalance of my hormones from this cancer, things kind of started to make a little bit more sense.
Of how extreme it was.
Yeah, how extreme it could have been, and how like I felt a little bit better about like my anxiety and depression, because that meant that there was a reason for it. Growing up, my mom always told me that, you're suffering something called depression, and it's not you, it's an imbalance in your brain. And I always was like, stop talking. Like, please stop talking, because I don't want to hear about an imbalance in my brain. Like, I can control my brain, but like with your thyroid, you have no control over any of these things. And so like I always advocate for people to just go get checked, because they'll just give you a pill and they'll try to regulate your your thyroid, your levels, your hormones. It could be affecting your weight. It could be affecting like so many things in your body.
Yeah, pill after a lot of
Pill
medical
every day.
procedures and
Yeah, and I
checkups
think,
and stuff. Don't forget that.
Well, and that's interesting you're bringing that up too, because after surgery, having to get so many biopsies after that, maybe like 5 to 6 biopsies after surgery, just to make sure that everything's going, getting radiation.
When they do biopsy, do they stick a tube in you?
No, it's even like worse than. This is where like the depression like just amplified, because I was going to these biopsies. I didn't want to bring my mom anymore, because I felt badly. I know she would have dropped everything to come with me, but I just started kind of going to them by myself, and which I shouldn't have.
Jesus, that's hardcore.
Because what's happening is you go in and you get a ultrasound. They ultrasound your neck, and you're in this dark room. It's trying to be relaxing, and then you have this person measuring your lymph nodes, and so you just hear this beep. And then you look up and they're measuring something. I can't read the screen. I have no idea what's happening. And then they know what's happening, and they know what looks suspicious, but they can't tell you because it has to go through the doctor. And so then I get a phone call back like, yes, you need to come back and you need to get a biopsy again. And I think that the worst part about the biopsies were just that you're laying there and there's 3 to 4 doctors in the room, and there's a needle, and it is probably a bit longer than a pencil. There's multiple needles, and one person is doing the, what is that? The ultrasound. It's a biopsy guided ultrasound or guided biopsy, whatever, something like that. And they're sticking this needle in you, and it's not like, oh, let me just go and like poke. No, they're actually like digging into your throat. They're digging and they're hitting muscles, and it's very painful, even though they give you medicine.
Oh, man. You would think, oh my, that's crazy. Like, it reminds me of, this is going to sound like not at all to the level of your procedure, but when they were telling me to move in the CT scan, when I had the thing in my arm, and I'm like, wait, you're fine. No, it really, please be careful. All right, not even listening to me. No, and like it kept pulling me in and out, and the thing would, I would see the cord stretch, and I'm like, no,
because you didn't want it to pull.
But it pulled it
on
slapped
the IV
just
cord
enough to like not, have any tension.
Yeah, that is pretty scary.
That was. Anyways, but like that goes not really, but to your point.
No, it does, because it's like you're trying not to flinch, when you're in pain, and then they're just like, there's 4 people around you, and they're looking at you, and they know things, and they can't talk about it, and just looking over at Oreo right now, he
dead
looks like
cockroach in it.
Little dead cockroach with his legs up, sleepy. But every single time I would get out of the biopsy, I would go into my car and I would just cry, because I felt like I was a test subject. I would have to go through this procedure, and then I would have to wait a few days to know if it was like suspicious enough, if it was cancer enough, or if it was cancer coming back. And it's just like a very frustrating cycle of unknowns. It really depends. Sometimes it could be 3 days, sometimes it could be a week and a half. I think because there were so many unknowns in my life at the time that I was very so stressed out about everything. Everything just got really amplified at the time, And I think that's why I kind of like just block it out, because it was just a very, 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 very stressful time without the cancer. And yeah, I think that was kind of it. And then right after, I had to have radiation, which was the easiest part of it all. I just went in, I sat down, we drove separate cars, me and my mom. They gave me this room to sit in by myself. They came in this like space suit. They looked like they were going to outer space with this cup. They gave me a pill, told me to take it, and I drove home separately from my mom. And for about 3...
Did you feel different?
No, not at all. I'm a little nauseous, but for 3 days I had to be away from everybody because, obviously, because if they were around me, that their thyroids would be compromised. Yeah. And it would stop working. So whatever, they said if you throw up, you have to call a team to clean it up.
Oh wow.
Because it would be radiation poisoning whoever touched it. And so when they gave me food, everybody had to sleep on the first floor. I was the only one on the second floor. And they would run up, they'd tell me to shut the door, they'd run up the stairs, they'd put my food on paper plates. I had my own garbage. I had, you were supposed to line your bed with plastic, and my mom did, line my bed with plastic. It was just this kind of really big ordeal, and I hated that too, because I didn't really realize how much human contact that I need to have. And I couldn't have I couldn't touch anybody. I wasn't allowed to be around anybody. It was just very very stressful. I'm a very needy person. Maybe I just love being loved.
Oh, busted.
I love being loved, and I love hugs and kisses and all those things. And I just that sucked for a few days being alone, watching movies, and there's only so much you can do before you get stuck in your head. And yeah, that was kind of the process of that, and kind of just going on to now. I get tested regularly. I love my doctor. I really love how open and honest he is with me. My doctor at MSK. I had a few incidents with my thyroid, such as I've ingested too much pre-workout before, and I've given myself a mini heart attack. It's silly things like that. When I have too much caffeine, I'm not really supposed to have caffeine at all, because it can either just stay in my body, harbor in my body, and do nothing, or it can harbor in my body, and 7 hours later I have a severe anxiety attack because it just for some reason outbursts in my body somehow. It's just really, really weird. I mean, going vegan was kind of mostly for health reasons, and just kind of want to see how my body reacted and felt to it.
How does it feel?
I feel a lot healthier, but not in the state of I feel a lot lighter. That's why I'm very hesitant to even so yesterday, an example, I ordered lomo saltado, which is steak, fries, rice. It's a Peruvian dish, right? Well, I ordered that, but the tofu version, and they actually sent me the steak version. And for a second, I was maybe this is it. This is a sign I should just, eat it. Well, I was I can't do it. And I called them back, and they sent it.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I gave it away to somebody, and,
it's there in the flesh, right there, inches from you.
It's not appealing anymore. When you know how bad you feel after you eat meat. That's
a really cool motto, to associate, I'm always saying, connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Associating certain things with other things to kind of create that habit.
Mm-hmm.
So you create consistency.
My mom is so funny. I had asked her earlier today, I said, random question, about to do a podcast about when I found out I had cancer. Do you remember what came to your mind? And she wrote all of these, all this stuff. And she's telling me how it took 5 hours, and how I had to go back 2 days later to do surgery again. And
she probably remembers so much more than you.
I know. And she said when she found out that I was done with surgery, she was just on the floor bawling, and she said she had to hold it together and never let me see that. But I actually stayed pretty strong a lot of the time because I knew how scared she was and how other people were scared. So I think that's kind of why I just kind of sucked it all up. It's funny how the reason I'm laughing right now is she's you were a trooper, you never complained, you just stayed still like you were supposed to. then you want a McDonald's.
You're like, I'm dead inside.
Yeah, and it's just like funny because I don't remember being a trooper. I remember being like, I fucking hate this. This sucks. Like,
yeah, it's just like super down
like a downer about it. But like, I'm glad she remembers it that way because I'm sure I was really whiny.
Well, that's that like talk about, you know, what they also say too. It's like you can say all these things in your head, but when you say it out loud, it's kind of that's your statement. Mm-hmm. So you probably didn't say a lot of things out loud.
Maybe I didn't,
which is in your favor because it's not viewed. You can't view. No one can view it if no one knows it. So
that's true.
They were just like, wow, you're pretty like chill about the whole thing in your mind. Well, to you weren't, but to them, you're like, wow, it's making this very different than I thought that it'd be.
Yeah. And I guess kind of coming full circle, I know we're like we just hit an hour talking, and appreciate it. Appreciate if you're still in
my
this.
fries, please.
I know, I'm so sorry. Do you want to open it?
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was like, let me not bother.
No, you should have told me. Kind of coming full circle, just kind of talking about Oreo jumped out of bed. He is like, food?
Yeah, sorry for that.
Gotta open up the fries to make sure they breathe.
So they don't get soggy with the condensation. I don't know.
Condoleezza Rice.
Condoleezza Rice.
Kind of to come full circle and to talk about this today, there was about how this has anything to do with Supay. There was a point after surgery where I decided I'm not going to take the thyroid medicine I was advised to take.
I want to get that meme where it's that thing where it's like, oh, no. Oh, no. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I do. What I have to do after...
I gotta find a place to put this, but
I can take it.
Yeah. I just don't want loaded.
No, it's okay. Pretty much, now I have to take a pill every single morning, and my levels kind of differentiate, and that's why I get them tested, just to make sure that we're all on the same playing field. And to kind of just jump back into the levels really quick, what we were talking about, what I get tested is my thyroglobulin total and antibody. Oh, God.
Wait, I need to look this up now.
Hold on, let me move the food again because Oreo is getting tall, and he just reached it.
He's a big boy. Dang. Was it? Damn, boy. You thick boy. You's a thick boy. Oh, that's what I need. I need that. Damn, boy.
Yeah, you do as a little sound effect. Okay, so I get my thyroglobulin total and antibody. I get my thyroid stimulating hormone, which is TSH. I get my thyroxine, THYROXINE, my T4. And I also get my vitamin D checked. But that is what I just got. Wait,
sorry, say it one more time.
All of them?
The hemoglobin you said?
No. Here.
Sorry.
Here's a list. But I always just get those checked, and I like it because there's like a graph, and it kind of shows you where you were the last time you got it checked. Nevertheless, I am supposed to be taking medicine every single morning to balance it out, and I take it, and then in about an hour I can eat. Just can't eat and take your medicine at the same time, otherwise it doesn't work. So some people decide to take them at night. I do mine in the morning, and there was a time that I just decided I'm really sick of having cancer, or, the time after having cancer, I was just really sick of it. And I was sick of taking the medicine. I was sick of always having to do appointments and getting tests and getting poked and pricked and pried, whatever. I had, stopped taking my medicine, and I had gone into the doctor, and my levels were batshit crazy. And they said, you can continue to do this, that's fine, but I do want to let you know within a few months you will go into a coma, and eventually you will die.
Oh, God.
And I just kind of at the point didn't care, and I kind of already knew that, which is why I did it, because I was just so low in my head. I just felt like this, and it's very silly, and I feel very embarrassed talking about this, because it's like there's so many people in life who have all these horrible problems, and here I am complaining about something that I had already gotten fixed. I had already had the cancer out. I think I was more scared about how much cancer I had, when they went in, they found that I had 2 tumors, and they had found out that I had about 30 lymph nodes that were cancerous.
Wow.
And I think that was like such a weird fear. And I don't know. It was, like I said before, I was just in such a very depressed state of mind that I didn't really care. It's like, I don't care. I want to die, but then I don't want to die. And it's like kind of like so weird and taboo that I'm saying something like that out loud, but it just is how I felt. I just felt like a test subject. And so I was like, I'm not doing it, even though I probably like just did it for a few days, like stopped taking it for a few days and went back on. But how this relates to Supay. I get really high and I get really low very quickly with this, and it's funny, and sometimes we joke about it in a loving way where Sam will be like, when's the last time you got your levels checked? And I used to take it offensively because I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are? Of course I get my levels checked. They're fine. But I think you can tell when I'm really anxious or really depressed, and in those mindsets, if it is because of something bad maybe that happened throughout the day, or if it is truly like an imbalance. And I think it's important to have a partner who can kind of like see those changes in you.
Yeah, it's a work in progress for me to try and find neutral ways to get my point across in a non-offensive way.
Especially from somebody who takes offense very easily, like I do, and I take things personal, especially when they're not. And it's like that's a work in progress for me as well.
You guys ever see like that movie about these down and out like high school kids from like Mexico in like the school system in like California, and there's this teacher who comes in and he's Mexican, and he's like, okay kids, I'm going to change the culture in this room. And they're like he like tries so hard to get their attention and to make learning fun, and then he finally like does, but there's all these setbacks because they didn't do good on a test, and he's like, face it teacher, we're never gonna get anywhere, we're not gonna be nobody with our lives.
That's me. I'm the students.
No. And then like in some, but they keep going, he's like, how can I teach these kids? And it's just to relate, it's kind of like, how can I like find the words to explain the real meaning of the point I'm trying to get across. And it's not, going back to your point though, it's nice that that you're hearing me more, and I'm finding better ways to kind of explain too, so we can kind of come to an understanding
faster than later. Yeah, it's definitely it's a struggle, and I think in February of this year I was really battling demons really hard, and I couldn't keep up with anything. I felt as if I was a failure to Maya, and I felt like I was a failure to you. I felt like I was a failure to my parents, both parents, adopted and my birth parents. I felt like I was very stuck in what I was doing with work, which all kind of like obviously led up to Supay. And at the time, you were really focused more on music, and so I was doing a lot of the podcast editing, which was taking me like 5 hours to do, because I was being incredibly critical on everything we were saying. Like if Sam said like too much, or if I said too much, I was taking out all of those things, and it took me like an entire day to just edit this, and it was like very stressful, and like looking at ourselves and like seeing the stress that was going on outside of like Supay and the podcast, and it was just so much of a burden that I was putting on myself that I didn't need to. And so I had just decided to stop completely and try to kind of like regather myself. And it's definitely a work in progress still, and we're kind of slowly coming back. But I do, like I said last time, really enjoy these conversations, because it kind of helps balance and bring things to life in a real way, because these are real things that are happening, and like I might like to make light of it a lot of the time, and not to be so serious about things like cancer, because it's a pretty loaded word, and this is nice to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like personally I like talking as well about like, these having these talks. I think they're really meaningful, and one of the reasons why I enjoy talking with you and doing the podcast is because I truly hope and want to feel less alone. I want people to maybe listen and maybe reach out to me and like let me know that they too feel similarly, and let me know too that it's okay to feel that way, or I completely understand why you'd be feeling that. Like, don't be so hard on yourself, because that's important to me, because like you, I'm in my head a lot too, and I have these notions that like I'm the only one who's this is happening to. It's crazy. Like, I don't know why, like people start stuff with me. Like, why do I have that face where somebody just wants to like attack me? I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. I don't appreciate when somebody like uses three machines at the gym. It makes no sense. I'm not trying to badger your life. I just want to do this one thing that you're not using and just be gone. You'll never have to see me again. Like 5 minutes. I'm not even crazy. I'm not even bodybuilder. Like, I don't take that long.
Yeah.
So it brings me back to kind of like too. I'd love to know if anybody else like had similar things that happened in their lives about the things that I speak about, and that's what I get from it.
Yeah.
One of the bigger things.
And it just makes you feel like you're human again, because I think a lot of the time you have to put on this face, for social media or for, for me, kind of like my parents, I'll talk about what I'm going through, but I think it's hard to actually talk about what I'm going through sometimes because they worry a lot. And it's nice to be able to just have a place to talk about like all the vulnerabilities. Another reason like that we stopped mainly is because like I just kept comparing like Supay as a brand to everything else. I started questioning everything like full circle and like down to like my life and everything, and getting to those really deep lows of like suicide and thinking about like how you're gonna do it, and thinking about like but you can't do it because you're just like thinking so deeply and intently about these things that like nothing is making sense. You can't even form a sentence because you're thinking about how you're going to form that sentence. Jeez. Like even in your head. And I think that's kind of the point where I got, and I went and took more tests and figured out my levels were really high, and so I started skipping my pill on Sundays. And it's good to be able to have these conversations like with the doctor and talk about all of these things and be able to say like, okay, like this is probably why you're feeling this way. And this is why you're probably having anxiety attacks. You've never had them before. This is probably why. And being able to actually blame it on something, to be able to have my thyroid to blame it on it. I'm like, fuck you. I'm depressed because of my thyroid. Talking to myself, like, fuck you to myself, not you.
It's like, oh my God.
No.
I'm out.
But yes, so thank you for letting me be vulnerable, and I'm sure some of these like moments that I've suppressed will come out in other ways, and being able to talk more about like cancer and about some of the things that I've gone through that I kind of just try not to think about, but I think it's good to get them all in the open.
Yeah, and it kind of, I guess, like slowly ends on a good note, which is, Thanksgiving is tomorrow, and being grateful for where you are now to where you've been, and feeling good about all the accomplishments and the goals of your improved life that you're trying to lead, and making yourself feel good, and in turn being more positive and focused on things that you can even do better, and the direction that you want to go. And so it's nice that you shared that with us. Sure, it was not easy to do.
Yeah, especially it was funny because I wanted to like talk about it very linear, and then that's kind of like going out of like place, and I'm just like, let me just go with the flow because I can't have everything be perfect. So if you're listening still, thank you.
Yes.
And we're gonna probably head out. You have your food. It's probably all
Yeah,
soggy.
it's all good.
And you got me this chocolate thing. What is it?
It's some moose thing.
I'm so excited.
You'll enjoy it. Yeah. So, thank you guys again for being with us and hearing us out. And we both hope that you have a really awesome Thanksgiving with your family. And to reiterate again, we're always here and to talk to you guys. Anybody out there who maybe isn't going to be with family for the holidays and would like to speak, just know that we're here to talk and listen to what you got to say.
Yeah, and if you don't want to, like, just know that we're thinking of you and our hearts are with you, and we'll always be here.
Even when you're not, we'll still be here.
What?
I don't know. I'm trying to double down on like the legit, like, we're here. Like, we'll always be here. Even when you're not here with us, we're still here for you.
Oh, yeah, I feel you. Kind of.
Okay. We'll end on that cliffhanger. You guys can debate about that after this. But
have
anyways,
a great night.
Yes.
Or morning or afternoon. And we love you, and we will talk to you next week.
That we will. All right, guys. Peace.
See ya.